Hello, this video will cover the basic functions of the cash register GUI transactions and how to maneuver correctly. One thing to point out is that you will normally have an open VPN process running between the cash register or your workstation and the host server. On this PC, I have it set to kick off manually, so I have to start this up. But on yours, it is probably set to run as a Windows service and will start up automatically. To begin with, I'm going to go to the cash register icon and double click on it. And then I will go to the padlock and click on that to connect, and then just click log on. You will see that the cash register, the system is starting up, and that is the first indication you need to know that the GUI transaction is communicating. So here you will log on with your particular user ID and password, and then you will come in to the cash register main menu. From here, you will normally go into number 1 to actually perform the cash register functions. 2 is where you will go in to take care of the network communication. In this case, as you see, the communication is stopped. So I can choose option number 2, or network control. And I can, from this option, just do S to start that back up. And as you see, this will take just a few moments. I can now click on the close button, and my communication process is now active. Some of these other options, the backup and shutdown, aren't really used anymore. Those were really used in the slightly older legacy process, but we have not removed them from the screens yet. You can also go into the POSITRAK master menu, number 5, and this is where you can look at some of the point of sale backend features that are directly to this register. So I could go into the POS parameters and take a look at a transaction and modify the way that transaction might work, but it will only happen on this register. Any changes made on a cash register are only for that particular machine. It will not affect the host or any other registers. If you make a change on the host, all of those changes will go down to each register within that communication process that we talked about a moment ago. Another feature I can do from here is I can resend transactions. So if for some reason, if my register has been offline for a while and I want to make sure that everything is sent to the host, I can set a beginning date. So let's say from January 1st, 2023 up through today's current date. I could specify a register number or just hit enter to include everything. And again, this is just on this one smart lane, so the register number will be just this register anyway. And I can specify a specific transaction number, or again, hit enter, and it'll send everything within this date range. I'll do R to run. Right now, every transaction on this register between that date range is being resent to the host. It will not duplicate anything. It'll just update the server with any missing information. To begin with a normal register function, you will go into number 1, cash register. As you see, it jumped up here to the sale transaction type. The first transaction of any day will be the open transaction. If for some reason I have not closed this register from, let's say, yesterday, then the first transaction of the day would be to close. To close the cash register, I can select the close option and then type in the default password, which is just the word close. The only reason for having that password on there is to prevent you from accidentally clicking the close option when you meant to do something else. In this case, the password is the word close in all uppercase letters. You could probably hear my receipt printer going in the background. It kicks out a closing ticket with all of the day's transactions and the totals for those transactions. So I can log back in now and go back into the register. And as you see now, the only thing it will let me do at this point is an open. You must open a register before you can use it. So I just hit the enter key, and now it's going to prompt me for how much money am I starting in my cash register or my till today. I can just say $100. It's going to verify, start the day with $100, yes. And now as you see, it goes to my default transaction type. For this register, my default transaction is just a regular sale. If this register was mainly used for returns, I could set the the default to be a return transaction. And these screens here, both the main touch screen and the functions at the bottom, can all be customized for each store, or even, if you need to, on a per register basis. So if you have one register that is in a C store, and one at a golf range, and one in a Starbucks, each register can have its own screen buttons and screen functions running. So to begin with, I'm just going to start a sale. Since the sale is the highlighted option, I can just hit the enter key, or I can click on one of the options at the bottom if I want to do that. In this case, I'm just going to start a sale. And as you see, the sale is started. It assigned a transaction number at this point, and the cursor has moved down here to the quantity SKU modifier field. This is the point where I can start scanning items in. Or, since I have a touch screen, I can just click on one of the buttons. In this case, this button is set to sell an orange Scantron. I can continue adding multiple items, or I can select the quantity option, which will change the quantity of an item. So I can do a quantity, type in the quantity of the item I'm selling, and then click the item I want to sell. And as you see now, I have now sold 4 of this particular item. Once I'm done scanning items or entering items to sell, I can go to the total. And again, these can be configured to do anything you want. I would also like to point out at this time, if you notice, the buttons at the bottom have changed. They're no longer transaction types. Okay? They are now specific to this particular area of functionality. So I could void a line, I could do a price change of an item, I could do a fee display. And as you see, I've got a total. And again, these can be modified for your functionality. So if you wanted that to say subtotal, we can easily do that. But I'm going to hit the total option. And again, you will notice that the buttons are changing now because I'm now in the modifier tender option. So at this point, all of these buttons at the bottom have changed to my tender types. So I can, again, cancel a transaction. I can go back, which will take me back up to the SKU field. I could put a transactional discount on here, or I could choose to pay. So I'm going to just choose the cash option. So as you see, it's going to prompt me for my dollar amount. How much money am I going to tender on this particular transaction? I'm going to say $10. I can hit the enter key or click the OK button. Then it's going to come up. It's printing the receipt. The cash drawer will have just kicked open, and it's going to show me how much change I need to give the customer. At this point, I can select the continue. And this particular transaction type is also set up to track a loyalty. So I could look up a customer, and I'm going to select myself, say yes, and so that particular transaction was just now recorded to my loyalty customer. I can now do a reprint of this transaction receipt, or click next to start the next transaction. At the end of the day, again, you would select the close and enter the close option. You can also select the no sale, and that is our default option to just kick open the cash drawer. We have set security on this, and in this case, the security is going to prompt me for my user ID, so it's going to ask which cashier is entering or opening the drawer. Okay, so now the cash drawer would have opened up, and again, the system is creating a log or recording every time that is done with a no sale transaction type. We will now end this particular recording, and you may proceed to the next recording in the group. Thank you.